is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao alongside Mo Patton coming to you on this Friday edition of Main Street Sports Today. Mo, what's going on?
Man, I'm tired.
I can understand
and this
that.
is not, it's not good considering we got Friday night football tonight. But
we do, in fact, and it's going to be a long night.
It is going to be a long night. Yeah, I was talking about the long Friday nights last night when I got to speak to a class at Belmont last night. Mike Elson, the longtime athletics director at CPA, is now teaching a class, Sports and Americana. And one of the students is one Landon Seacrest, who invited me to come and speak. And so I went down and talked to them, but we talked about some of the ins and outs of what we do as journalists and what we do here at Main Street Murray in particular, and the long Friday nights. So, yeah. But it's the final week of the regular season for high school football.
Isn't that crazy?
It really is. I mean, in some ways it feels like it's flown by. In some ways it feels like it's crept by, but it's going to be a tough night for a lot of teams, and for a lot of teams it's the beginning of something special. So we'll see how it goes.
We will, in fact, and I'm looking forward to it. We've got a long night ahead, but Main Street covered. Friday Night Live will have you covered, of course, and we'll have you all throughout the entirety of Main Street media platforms and Main Street Murray, where you can find our coverage. Mine from Richland, yours, Mo, from
LNS, Lindsey Nelson Stadium.
Well, there's the football version. Lindsey Nelson Stadium. So plenty to get to today on this show as well. John Clay will join us from the Lexington Herald-Leader to talk a little cats and balls.
I was looking at your title card when it was up earlier. Does John Clay not bear a resemblance to the late John Clayton?
Very much. And I think I said that, or I thought it at least, the last time we had him on. I was like, did I get the right picture? Because, you certainly, I mean, if you're John Clay, you could certainly see that coming up on Google instead of.
Especially the way it just auto-completes.
Yeah,
sometimes. Yeah.
So I was like, is that the right guy? And then sure enough, it was.
We'll have to ask him about that.
So John will join us. We'll talk SEC football weekend. We will talk a little bit about the World Series, a little bit about the Titans, and we'll give you our college football picks. Well, I mean, I have a rooting interest in this.
I have a
series,
rooting interest as well.
I'm kind of actually excited about it. I hate that it doesn't involve the Braves, but if it wasn't going to involve the Braves, at least I have a reason to watch. If it were the Yankees and Phillies, I wouldn't give a crap. But I do. So
I may not watch, but I'll keep up.
Yeah, I'm not going to be.
I mean, I certainly won't be checking my phone all through the night from the sidelines.
Not like you would if it were a Braves game or checking your phone, aka watching the game.
Yeah. Oh, and what just happened? Yeah.
That was. Hey, did you see who carried that? No. We'll get to that in our college football picks. All of that and more coming up here in just a moment. But before we do anything else, Mo, let's get to yesterday's results and this weekend schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
The Friday Rundown is brought to you by Chip Walters of Exit Realty, Bob Lamb and Associates. The voice of the Blue Raiders also wants to be your trusted advisor in real estate. Contact Chip at 615-542-1915 or through his website at choosechip.net. Chip Walters, proud to support youth sports across Middle Tennessee.
In high school football action last night, it was Dixon County does not shut out Antioch. They had them shut out at one point, but it was 34-6 Sorry, I really,
Apologies to the Bears.
I literally cannot see right now. Fayetteville was 52-6 winner over Eagleville. Friendship Christian doubled up Middle Tennessee Christian 28-14. Giles County did shut out Cannon County 42-0, and East Robinson with a shutout as well. White Creek 40.
In girls soccer action at the state tournament in Chattanooga, Battleground Academy blanked Boyd Buchanan 5-0. Page with a 5-1 win over Greenville. It was Houston 4, Siegel 0. Murfreesboro Central defeated East Hamilton 1-0. It was Bearden Downing Station Camp 7-0. And in the Class A semifinals, Culleoka fell 4-0 to defending state champion Merrill Hyde. It was the first loss of the year for Culleoka. Congratulations to the Lady Warriors. Great season.
They'll be back. Their entire team is
lose two seniors.
underclassmen, it feels like. So
yeah. NHL action last night. The Preds
finally won in North America.
And once they scored, they just couldn't stop. 6-2 over St. Louis. The Grizzlies with a 125-110 win over the Sacramento Kings. And on Thursday Night Football, finally got a good ball game. The Ravens with a 27-22 win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Tom Brady struggles in multiple arenas.
Yeah, well, in football action tonight at 6:30, Chattanooga Central hosting Liberty Creek, and at 7 o'clock the rest of the way, Father Ryan at Baylor Beach hosting Rossview. Lipscomb Academies at Battleground Academy. Blackman at home against Siegel. Brentwood taking on Centennial at home, while MUS will be at Brentwood Academy. Ensworth goes to Briarcrest. Cane Ridge is at home against Maplewood. Cheatham County hosting Stewart County, and Clarksville at home against Gallatin.
Also, Clarksville Academy hosts Mount Juliet Christian at 7. Kenwood is at Clarksville Northeast. Clarksville Northwest hosts Springfield. Spring Hill travels to Columbia Central. Davidson Academy is at Christ Presbyterian Academy. Franklin County hosts Nolensville. Franklin Road Academy hosts Good Pasture. Columbia Academy goes up to Franklin to take on Grace Christian. Mount Juliet is at Green Hill. Wilson Central is at Hillsboro, and Independence hosts Ravenwood.
Republic goes to Jackson Central Mary at 7. At Smyrna will be at John Overton. Laverne hosting McGavick, while Lawrence County is at home against Creekwood. Warren County goes to Lebanon, while Greenbrier goes to Marshall County. It's Knoxville Catholic at Montgomery Bell. Pope Prep will be at McCauley. I guess that's a 6 o'clock kick.
I would assume so.
Yeah, that's my bad. I didn't even realize. I guess when I just did this, I didn't realize what I was reading. Pearl Cohn at Montgomery Central. Forest is at Mount Pleasant. Nashville Christian hosting Donaldson Christian, while Oakland hosting Rockville, and Lincoln County goes up Arno Road to Page.
Portland hosts Henry County. Loretto travels to Richland. Stewart's Creek is at Riverdale. East Nashville goes to Smith County. Station Camp takes on visiting Hunters Lane. Stratford takes on Jackson County. That's at Stratford. Cascade goes to Summertown. Franklin is at Summit. Joe Burns is at Sycamore. Tullahoma hosts Glencliff. Trousdale County travels to Watertown. Fairview goes to Waverly for the Region 6-3A championship. Hendersonville is at West Creek. Harpeth is at Westmoreland. And White House Heritage hosts White House.
Girls soccer action tonight. University School Jackson takes on Battleground Academy at 6:30. Tomorrow in Class AA state championship at 11. I'm sorry, I think that's at 10 a.m. actually. It's Page and Murfreesboro Central Magnet, and at 2 p.m.
No, 3.
It is at 3, so these are right.
No.
It's 10 and
Page
3?
Murfreesboro Central is at 10.
Gotcha.
Merrill Hyde Cumberland Gap for the Class A championship
Is at 3.
Is at 3.
Gotcha.
Because I changed one of them, but not the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. In NHL action tomorrow, the Capitals are down here in Nashville to take on the Predators. It's a 7 p.m. puck drop on Valley Sports South. And in NBA action, the Grizzlies travel out west to Utah to take on the Jazz. It's an 8 p.m. tip, also on Valley Sports South or Valley Sports Southeast, however that works.
Check your local listings. In college football action tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. on YouTube, Cumberland is at Faulkner. 2 o'clock on ESPN Plus, Tennessee State is at Murray State in Ohio Valley Conference action. At 3 o'clock on ESPN Plus, in what conference is that?
ASUN.
Thank you. In the ASUN, Jacksonville State plays at Austin P.
But technically, JSU is not in ASUN play because they have too many scholarship players. So therefore, they really have nothing to play for this year. They're just bragging rights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
So anyway, continue.
Interesting. Okay. In Southeastern Conference action tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, number 19 Kentucky is at number 3 Tennessee. That game is on ESPN. On ESPN Plus at 8 o'clock, Middle Tennessee State travels to Texas El Paso. That's at 8 o'clock again. That's on ESPN Plus. Pretty sure I said that. So on Sunday, 3:05 kick. The Tennessee Titans are at the Houston Texans. That game can be seen on CBS. And that is your rundown.
Well, you mentioned it. Tom Brady, two things he's dealing with that I don't think he's ever dealt with before. One, he and his wife have finalized their divorce. And two, he is now multiple games under 500 for the first time in his career.
Multiple games under 5. So he's never been more than one game under 500 at any point in his career as a starting quarterback.
That's correct.
And, you know, he's got to be sitting there thinking, I came back for this.
I came back for this. I lost my family for this. I mean, think about all the things that he chose to put on the back burner for this.
So here's a question. With Tom Brady and the Buccaneers struggling the way they are, with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers struggling the way they are, and the word last summer was that A-Rod was putting off his retirement because he did not want to retire the same year as Tom Brady because he didn't want to go into the Hall of Fame the same year as Tom Brady. So who blinks first?
It's got to be Brady. Look, neither of them have very much help right now. I'm just going to be honest. Brady has a little more, but
Brady has a little more. I mean, Brady's got Mike Evans, right?
He's got Mike Evans and
who is Aaron Rodgers? And far be it from me to be an A-Rod apologist, but who is Aaron Rodgers as Mike Evans?
Who is Aaron? Can you name? And the only reason I'm asking you is because you actually have a Packers fan in your house and you probably watch Packers games. But who are their receivers?
Randall Cobb is one of them.
Okay.
Yep.
If that's your best.
He's hurt right now, I believe.
Okay. Well, see. I don't know a single wide receiver on the Green Bay Packers team. Could not tell you.
Devontae Adams ain't walking through that door.
Nope.
Yeah. Yep. Their best wide receiver might be a tight end.
Whomever that may be.
Yeah.
I legitimately do not know a single wide receiver on that team. And so therefore, you know, and not only does Brady have Mike Evans, but he's got Godwin too.
Chris Godwin.
So,
which makes it even worse.
That's what I'm saying. He's got to go. But if you're the Bucks, what's your backup plan?
There isn't one. There is no plan B in Tampa Bay. And at least Green Bay does have Jordan Love.
They do.
So they have a direction. They have a parachute.
Well, you think, but we've not seen Jordan Love.
No.
You know, we all thought, you know, when Favre retires, they've got Aaron Rodgers, but Aaron Rodgers was a question mark then too. Now he turned out okay, but this is
I think they've been pleased with the way that's gone.
I mean, this is a little crazy to think about. Who blinks first? It's got to be Brady because Rodgers, also younger than Brady, can say
everybody's younger than Brady.
Well, yes, but you know, he can also say, well, you know, get me some help and maybe. But here's the thing: nobody wants to play with Aaron Rodgers, and apparently nobody wants to play with Tom Brady.
That's what I was gonna ask.
So I think they both need to just figure it out. Or Rodgers may need to pull up Brett Favre and find somewhere else to play. And let's hope that's where the comparisons stop.
Yeah. Between Rodgers and Brett Favre. Yeah. Yeah. Let's hope. Earlier this week, I guess coming out of the Bucs loss this past weekend, there was some backlash, I guess, regarding, that time off that he took this summer.
And his Wednesday vacation every week. Wonder if he took a vacation.
And when this initially happened, it was, well, it's Tom Brady. You make concessions for him. Yeah, that's all well and good when you're 6-2.
Yeah.
When you're 3-5,
not so much.
That doesn't fly. And inevitably, it's going to impact your locker room, and it sounds like it has.
Yes, it does. It's it also impacted his bedroom. So, which is now empty. It's I don't know how you do this. How do you screw up everything? Everything.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, all in the span of about 8 months. Good job, Tom.
Less than that. I mean, when did he come back?
But when did he retire? That was when I was thinking.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, we need to take a break because John Clay awaits. So the Lexington Herald-Leader columnist, is it columnist or beat writer for Kentucky will join us here.
Well, we can clarify with him because he probably writes some columns as well. But yeah,
we'll be right back right here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. After this. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports. Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck yes, that'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Tennessee. Because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton coming to you here on this Friday edition as we get you set for college football all weekend, Titans, World Series, all that, and much, much more. But as we have done most of this year to this point, obviously, we missed you guys last Friday. I was dealing with a family issue that kind of threw a wrench into everything. But we've been talking to someone from the general vicinity of of Tennessee's opponent each week. And so this week we would go into Lexington with Lexington Herald leaders John Clay. John, welcome in. How are you?
I'm good, guys. How are you all doing?
We're doing well, John. So a couple of house cleaning questions. You probably heard us trying to figure out exactly what your tasks are at the Herald Leader. And I know a lot of times a lot of guys wear a lot of hats, but you refer to yourself as the Kentucky beat writer, as a columnist, as yes. What is it that you do?
Well, my official title, I'm sports columnist. Mark Story and I are both sports columnists, but we obviously, both handle a lot of what you might be considered like beat material for both football and basketball. John Hale, who does a tremendous job, is our beat writer for UK football at the Herald Leader and Kentucky.com.
Okay. Now, as you were going through that, another question popped up. Who now is Jerry Tipton? I know the answer is nobody, but who's covering Kentucky basketball for you guys now?
Well, there'll never be another Jerry Tipton, as you well know, Mo. But Ben Roberts is now covering Kentucky basketball for the Herald Leader and Kentucky.com. Ben did a tremendous job covering basketball recruiting, specifically UK basketball recruiting, and now he's moved over into the beat writer's role, filling some very big shoes. From Jerry Tipton, the longtime UK basketball beat writer who retired after this past season. And then Cameron Drummond, young reporter, is now doing recruiting, UK basketball recruiting for Kentucky.com.
You can tell when basketball is big time when they have a beat writer for basketball and they have a beat writer for basketball recruiting.
That's true.
AL.com, same thing with football. So
That's crazy. John, how many times have you heard that you bear a striking resemblance to the late ESPN.com NFL contributor John Clayton?
Well, I certainly hear that as far as our names are concerned. I don't know. I don't know that I was a heavy metal guy like John was in that great commercial that he did for ESPN. Especially with the net, people sometimes are used to, they get the names confused with John Clay and the late John Clayton, as you mentioned.
Yeah, well, the picture that we have up of you on our title card here, at first glance, it certainly makes you do a double take. John, what's the mood in Lexington as the Cats get ready to come down I-75 this weekend?
Well, I mean, all they've talked about is what a great challenge this is and what a great opportunity to be playing the number 3 ranked team in the country. I think they feel like probably most people are not giving them too much of a chance in this game. They were 12.5-point underdogs the last time I looked. Tennessee's been rolling through everybody, obviously coming off that epic win over Alabama. But they say they look forward to the opportunity, especially on the defensive side. Brad White, the defensive coordinator, Kentucky's played well defensively this year. They're 9th in the nation in scoring defense. They're 14th in the nation in total defense. Brad White, the defensive coordinator, when we talked to him on Wednesday, he said, obviously this is a huge challenge, especially the way Tennessee plays with that up-tempo offense. They put 45 points on Kentucky last year in a 45-42 game in Lexington. Brad said, I can't predict how we're going to play. I can't tell you for sure what's going to happen in the game, but I do know our guys are not going to be afraid. We're going into the game with that kind of attitude, so we'll see what happens.
It's interesting. Earlier today, I was perusing Twitter, and Matt Hayes, I'm sure you're familiar with Matt, John,
Yeah.
writes for Saturday Down South, spent a lot of time at the Florida Times Union down in Jacksonville, but he's got a piece on Saturday Down South basically saying that, well, like everything on this magical big orange ride, every big moment has been protected from ensuing disaster, and talking about the way Tennessee's schedule has fallen. Coming off their Pitt win in week 2, they caught Akron. Coming off of Florida, they had a bye week before following up Alabama with their game against UT Martin this week. It's like there's been a cushion between each of their so-called big games that's really kind of kept them from being caught maybe in trap game situations and that kind of thing. And I mean, whether that's true or not, you still have to take advantage of it. I would think that Tennessee's done a pretty good job with that. But like you said, another big challenge provided for them at home against Kentucky this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, and you wonder, and obviously Tennessee has a huge game next week against Georgia down in Athens. Depending on what happens on Saturday night, that's probably the game that's going to decide who goes to Atlanta as the SEC East champion. I think there are probably some Kentucky backers are hoping that Tennessee's peaking a little bit ahead to that game. We'll see how that plays out. Kentucky, they lost to South Carolina when they didn't have Will Levis as their quarterback. He was injured. They bounced back the next week and beat Mississippi State. Then last week, they're coming off an off week, which I think really benefited and helped Kentucky quite a bit. For one thing, Will Levis injured his shoulder against Mississippi State. He had to go out for a series and then came back in after that and played. So his arm was in a sling, I think, for most of last week. When we talked to him on Tuesday, he said he's ready to go. He feels much better now after the off week. They had some other guys, bumps and bruises and various injuries. Jeremy Flax, their starting right tackle, missed the South Carolina game, played only briefly against Mississippi State. They think he'll be back. Tavion Robinson, their most consistent wide receiver, missed the Mississippi State game. They're hoping he'll be back on Saturday. The one guy who's missing, and it's a big loss, is Jacquez Jones, who was their leading tackler, linebacker. He got injured in the Ole Miss game. He's missed the last two games. He will not be available on Saturday, and they're not sure. They think he will be back this year, but they're not sure when that will happen. And that they've had some reserves play pretty well in that spot, but they don't have the same kind of experience that Jacquez Jones has.
John Clay, columnist with the Lexington Herald-Leader, here with us on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. John, much is made of this Tennessee offense and much is made of the Tennessee secondary. Kentucky's offensive line has been suspect at times, and the front seven for Tennessee seems to be their obvious strength on defense. How much of a factor does that play into, not wanting to get into a shootout with this Tennessee offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. That's kind of the conundrum for Kentucky in this game. I mean, they feel like that they want to control the ball, keep the Tennessee offense on the sidelines as much as possible. Chris Rodriguez, who had been suspended for the first four games, is now back. He's kind of rolling. He had 195 yards on the ground against Mississippi State. I mean, that's their strength. As you mentioned, the offensive line has been suspect. They feel like they played their best game against Mississippi State. But as you mentioned, Tennessee's been pretty stout against the run so far. Teams have had success passing on them, but you wonder how much of that has been because they've gotten behind and they had to throw the ball, so they kind of piled up yards in that respect. So for Rich Gangarello, Kentucky's offensive coordinator, first-year offensive coordinator, came from the San Francisco 49ers. He wants to run a balanced offense. It'll be interesting to see how he approaches that from that level. Do you pound the rock, try to run the ball to kind of eat up the clock, keep Tennessee on the sidelines? Or do you say, okay, it's obvious that Tennessee's weaknesses, their secondary, we're going to have to throw the ball. We've got some good receivers. We got an NFL-type quarterback in Will Levis. Is that the route we take? I'm interested to see which direction they go.
As you talk about this UT secondary, Chris and John, it looks like they're going to get some reinforcements this weekend. It seems that Jalen McCullough has been cleared to return after missing two games. And again, for a secondary that has struggled at times, that's going to be welcome news, you would think.
Yeah, I would think so. Obviously for Tennessee, they can't do anything but help. And Kentucky, on the flip side, Kentucky's secondary was a question coming into the season, but they played well. But if you go back to last year's game, Tennessee scored on a 75-yard touchdown on the very first snap of the game. They scored a 72-yard touchdown pass on their second possession of the game. So I think the secondary on both sides is going to be a big story on Saturday night.
And the receivers on both sides, and you mentioned Robinson, but there's a local kid to us, Barrion Brown, who has really been electric for you guys as well.
Absolutely. He's had a tremendous freshman season, both in the kicking game. He's got a 100-yard kickoff return for a touchdown. He had an 85-yard kickoff return. He had a 54-yard kickoff return against Ole Miss, where he probably would have scored if he hadn't been tripped from behind by one of his own teammates. And he's been very dynamic. He's been very dynamic in the passing game as well. We mentioned earlier about beat writers. John Hale did a story on Barrion earlier in the week. where Barron said, the Tennessee fans don't like me because I turned down Tennessee to come to Kentucky. And I heard from a lot of those fans after I committed to Kentucky. And I'm sure he'll hear a lot from those fans on Saturday night at Neyland Stadium. But he's had a tremendous year. Another freshman receiver that Kentucky has, a local kid, Dane Key, has played very well as well. So I mean, like we talked earlier, I mean, Will Levis, I saw the other day, Pro Football Focus has him as their number 3 overall pick in the NFL draft. I don't know if he'll go that high or not, but you've got 3 speedy receivers. They've got some weapons on offense to have a good passing game. They haven't quite put it all together yet. Maybe Saturday night's that night. Maybe they're going to need it to be that night to have any kind of chance to win at Neyland Stadium. But they do have some weapons for Will Levis to throw to.
John, one question before we let you go. A lot of chatter down here in the Volunteer State about the former trophy for which these two teams played. It's been found. It has been located. And I'm curious, what does Kentucky have any interest in playing for the Beer Barrel?
That's a good question. I mean, the Beer Barrel was discontinued after Kentucky had an incident way back when Hal Mumme was the coach. It was before the Tennessee game, and the week before the Tennessee game, a Kentucky player was involved in a drunk driving accident in which 2 people were killed. Jason Watts, the UK center at the time. So given the circumstances behind that, they didn't feel like that it was right and proper to play for the Beer Barrel, so that was kind of discontinued. I think maybe that's been quite a few years ago. Maybe some attitudes have changed on that in that regard. I know for one thing, Mark Stoops has his own bourbon company. He has his own bourbon in William Tarr bourbon in Kentucky.
How is it?
I'm not a big bourbon aficionado, so I'm not the right person to ask, but people tell me it's good. I'm sure Mark would tell you it's good. It was funny. Somebody asked Mark when they were going to Ole Miss about all the Kentucky fans who were going down Ole Miss to the Grove. So do you have any recommendations for him? And Mark said, no, he'd never been to Oxford before. I said, well, I bet you want him to take a certain bourbon with him, don't you? And he said, oh, yes, William Tarr. So, and obviously the Bourbon Trail is a big deal in Kentucky. Bourbon is wildly popular in Kentucky with all the distilleries here. So I don't know, maybe it is time to bring that back. It'd have to be a talk between the two schools. You answer this question for me. Kentucky does not have alcohol sales at Kroger Field. Mitch Barnard has said, continually that we feel like we have a good atmosphere. We don't need to add alcohol sales. What's the situation there at Neyland?
They sell alcohol in stadiums, so
that's what I thought.
It's probably not a great idea.
Probably not the best idea.
For better or worse, huh?
Well,
right.
with the new renovations, they actually took out some seats and created a bar area under one of the jumbotron scoreboards. So yeah, I mean they're all in. They're all in on the alcohol in the stadium. So, I mean, who knows? But I just thought that was interesting, especially one, I thought it was weird that it's a Beer Barrel when you've got Tennessee whiskey and Kentucky bourbon. I don't know why we're playing for beer. Right. But, hey, who am I and what do I know?
Maybe they'll have to rebrand it and get a couple of sponsors on both sides.
Bourbon Barrel.
That's the way to do it right there. John Clay of the Lexington Herald-Leader, thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Great insight.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, I've got a video I need to show you.
We need to talk more at some point about this William Tarr bourbon, though.
We probably do. I've got a video I need to show you, and we're going to get to that on the other side of the break. We'll talk about Hugh Freeze, who just got a brand new deal. We'll talk about a couple of games in the SEC, but 3 of the 5 games in the SEC are in our pick'em this week. So we'll talk very little about the SEC preview, but we'll get to that and much, much more on Main Street Sports Today. Presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Back after this.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee Sports Editor, 3-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Welcome back again, Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bar and Joint. Did not mean to wear my blue and white checker today.
That's funny because I had a MTSU blue quarter zip that I was going to wear today, and I thought maybe not.
Well,
No.
it's just it doesn't matter. You got the Navy on, I got the Navy. It's just it's a Navy day. It's okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yours is a little closer.
I won't be taking this shirt off though to reveal anything else. So we'll take that.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, I got to show you this video of I have no idea if this is a high school game. It's got to be a high school game. But here's a video of a first down measurement last night in a ball game
somewhere.
Well, Eastern is losing to somebody, but because these people, of course, don't know how to hold a phone when they're taking a video.
Up and down.
So let's take a look here. Can you make that full screen for me, Justin, at this video
Oh, goodness.
here? All right, here we go.
We have a horrible angle.
I don't know if they cuss, so I'm gonna keep that on. I'd probably cussed.
What?
Let's watch it again. All right. So he not only moves the ball, but he moved the stick. I don't even know. What is he doing? Calls first down, and nobody was mad about it.
Look at those guys right in front of him. They're just like, I don't think that's right.
I can see light between the ball and the stick. I mean, but here's my question to you to follow up on this, though.
He moved the stick and the ball. That's so wild. Anyway, sorry. That's
chain gangs need to tighten up, literally. Have you noticed the slack sometimes?
Yeah.
It's like, pull the chains tight. Come on.
It doesn't make any sense. So if you have to do the little, to kind of whip it and get it tight, you just got to do that. But yeah, sometimes they just kind of go down there and stick it wherever.
Whatever.
And that messes up the stats.
Fold out and that kind of thing. I'm like, that's what we're doing?
And they don't care. That's what you get when you get dads out of the stands who, it's not what they.
I don't know. It just feels like to me, whatever it is that you're doing, take a little pride in it. Do it right. But
and yet, I don't disagree with you. I think you're probably right. John Bryce, footballscoop.com, had I don't know if it was a breaking news story. I don't know who else would have had it outside of a press release, but it appears that Liberty University has agreed to a long-term 8-year deal with Hugh Freeze after their 7-1 start and a 2-point try away from being 8-0. $5 million per year, 8 seasons. Pete Thamel reported the news first. There you go.
We managed.
We don't have anyone to point to anymore. The contract is a move by Liberty to lock up Freeze before an anticipated opening at Auburn, among other Power 5 positions already opened or expected to open this coaching cycle. He stands to be a natural candidate for the hypothetical opening on the Plains, given his ongoing success at Liberty and his 5-year run at Ole Miss, which culminated with a Sugar Bowl victory and AP Top 10 ranking in 2015. And it also included several vacated wins and being fired, but hey, that's only part of the deal, right? It says the contract is fully guaranteed on Liberty's end, but sources indicate the buyout would not be prohibitive should a Power 5 program come after Freeze.
Okay, so, and I guess you asked this question, but I'm going to steal it from you. Maybe, what does this mean?
I don't know. That was my thought was, does this mean Auburn's not going to come after Freeze? Does this mean that, is this Liberty just giving Hugh Freeze a pat on the back? Hey, we appreciate you, and you got a job here if nowhere else. I don't know.
Or will this lead to Hugh Freeze pulling an LBJ? I will not seek nor will I accept the position of head football coach at Auburn University. I mean, if the buyout does not prevent Auburn from coming after him, I don't know what this accomplishes.
That's not, I mean, other than you got a job here. But
was that ever a concern?
Well, I mean, I don't know what his contract was up to this point, but what I do think is $5 million a year would be hard to top if you are Auburn, based on you're still paying Gus Malzahn.
You're going to be
paying Brian Harsin. Is this even?
So maybe that's it.
And here's the thing:
if you can pay him and you can buy him out, you can have him. Maybe that's what Liberty's saying. But
here's the thing: $5 million a year at Liberty, going into Conference USA, where it's pretty bad right now, and it's only going to get worse because UAB's leaving, and a couple other teams are leaving. Look, I wish Jacksonville State was as good as some teams that are leaving. They're not, or at least not right now. Perhaps they will be in the future. $5 million a year, where the expectations are, don't lose 7 games a year. Be decent. Be okay. Now, they're great right now. They're going to be good for a while. Or Auburn, where the expectation is insane and you're not going to get paid that much more, if more at all. To me, what this accomplishes is it ups that annual number to a number Auburn can't beat given the circumstance.
That makes sense. Because like you said, that paying 3 football coaches is going to be a little uncomfortable financially for them.
Yeah, no question. And especially if none of them can beat Alabama. Now, Hugh Freeze has done it. He's done it twice in a row, matter of fact. Only person to do that. But
and I think that's what makes him so attractive to Auburn. Hugh Freeze is the only coach to beat Alabama and Saban more than twice, and who, in Auburn's mind, is Alabama's biggest rival, us.
Yeah.
I mean,
they think that. They're not. They're not.
Right.
They think that.
They think that. Yeah.
Right. But
Alabama doesn't think that, but Auburn thinks
that. But they also fired and are still paying a guy who beat Nick Saban more than anybody else in the history of the SEC. Gus has more wins over Nick Saban than anybody else in the Southeastern Conference as a head coach. And they fired him. Now, granted, 2 of those wins were pretty lucky, but
they count.
They still count.
Okay. Just making sure.
But I don't know that Auburn fans would say, well,
would count them.
Yeah. But, last year, his last year with, all that went into him being fired it just, I don't know. Maybe is that enough to pay 3 football coaches? Brian Harson's got to go. Brian Harsin, Tom Brady, they all need to dip.
That's not the extent of your list either.
No, but like Nebias Wilburn, friend of the show, posted that story yesterday about the red shirt / transfer portal conversation.
Right.
And I kind of see Brian Harson's point there. Like, if you're medically okay, I'm not giving you a medical red shirt. That seems fair. You're medically good to go. Why would I give you a medical red shirt?
Right.
So you either got to go into the portal or leave,
or hang around and run the risk of me putting you in a ball game. But the flip side of that is Harsin going to vindictively burn everybody's red shirts?
Yeah, that was ridiculous. And if he does that, Auburn may not be paying 3 coaches, because that would seem like a cause event.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps that's what Auburn's waiting on, for him to just do something stupid enough that they can fire him for cause. Because
that would be a win-win situation for Auburn from their standpoint.
And Brian Harsin would be in trouble. Of course, Brian Harsin would get a job pretty quick. I think there's 3 places west of the Mississippi that would hire him pretty fast.
Arizona State,
Colorado, particularly, and I think Boise State would hire him. I know they don't have a job opening, but neither does Auburn. Neither does Auburn.
There's that.
So, I don't know. But there are options if you're Brian Harsin, no matter what. But you certainly wouldn't mind, getting paid if you're going to be fired.
Sure. Pay me my money. They can have this job tomorrow.
What door do you want me to walk out of and what time?
Words to live by.
Now, if Auburn gets just drilled tomorrow by Arkansas, and here's my question. If Brian Harsin has lost the locker room like it appears, do they have any chance at all tomorrow at 11 a.m. against Arkansas?
I think there's always a chance.
Well, it's Jordan Hare for one. But
and also, I mean, all of a sudden, how sold are we on Arkansas?
There's that. If KJ Jefferson were at Auburn, they might be a legitimate contender. But I've never seen this before. I've never seen an SEC football game at Auburn with tickets as low as $9. Now, in 2008, 2007, Javier Arenas was the punt returner for Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
I got 2 tickets, 2 hot dogs, and 2 Cokes for $20 to an Alabama game from a guy, but I also waited till kickoff. I missed kickoff. But, I mean,
small price to pay.
Yeah, I mean, 2 hot dogs, 2 Cokes, and 2 tickets for $20. Heck yeah, it's a deal. I know you can't turn that down. It's an SEC football game.
Yeah,
I mean, but $9 to get into an Auburn Arkansas game. This just seems like maybe even the fan base has, and that's tough because Auburn people are pretty loyal.
They're pretty hard to run off.
Yeah,
so
it's interesting. The other
if
game,
he makes it through the season, surely he doesn't make it past that.
Well, the problem is the December signing period, right? It has completely changed the way that, and here's the thing again, who's going to fire him? And if they do fire him, who's going to hire the next guy? That's the biggest question.
It's a valid question.
They don't have an athletics director.
It's a valid question. It is. And I don't know why it's not being asked more often.
Are we the only people asking this question?
Well, I mean, Brian Harsin is probably asking it.
Yeah. Who's going to fire
Who's going to fire me?
You know
What?
my contract does not have your name on it. You not my boss.
Wow. How's that for armor? I mean,
Under Armour even. Oh man, I don't know. That's crazy.
only at Auburn would we be talking about firing a coach without having an AD.
God. Oh, I love you, Auburn. You are a never-ending source of
Oh, good
entertainment.
Lord. I mean, can you imagine talk show hosts down there?
Oh man, the poor folks down there. I wish we still had a contact at the Opelika Auburn News.
We wouldn't be able to talk to
them. I hate that.
They'd be too busy.
Yeah, I hate that he's in DC now. But oh man,
he might could hook us up.
He'd have us rolling. This Auburn is a never-ending source of entertainment.
And not in the right way.
Not for them anyway. For us, it's great. The only other game that's not in our pick 'em, Mo, is Ole Miss and Texas A&M. Ole Miss.
Speaking of jumbo problems, as somebody said.
Texas A&M,
did you steal that, or did you come up with that?
No, I stole it.
Okay.
Somebody on Twitter. I read it on Twitter somewhere.
Well, that was good.
They have a jumbo problem. There's no doubt there. 6:30 SEC Network Saturday night with who's the play-by-play guy?
Tom Hart.
It's Hart and Rogers
and Rogers and Kublik. Yeah.
1.5 point favorite are the Rebels.
1.5?
1.5.
Is that it?
That feels like something ain't right.
One and a half.
Something feels wrong here.
Big time.
So what is it? I don't
know. And Anaya Smith isn't coming back. I mean, what makes Texas A&M only a 1.5 point underdog?
Your guess is good as mine.
Well, it is at College Station, but still.
Yeah, and the only road game that Ole Miss has won this year is Vanderbilt. They gave up 28 to them. And it was close early.
It was. I mean, I think Ole Miss went ahead just before halftime, before finally getting it together and pulling away in the second half.
And A&M certainly has, better athletes than Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt has a better quarterback than anybody on A&M's roster. They probably got two quarterbacks better than anybody on A&M's roster. But I don't see how this is a 1.5 point game, Beth. Who are we and what do we know? That's the question that we're asking here. So
let's see. Ole Miss won 42-0 at Georgia Tech. Now that was before Jeff Collins got fired. Georgia Tech has played better since then than they were at that time.
It was at Georgia Tech. It wasn't a neutral site. Okay.
No, that was at.
I just assumed it was neutral site. That's my bad. I don't know, man.
I don't know.
This doesn't make any sense. And it seems like every single time Vegas doesn't make sense, they're right on the money. So you take that however you'd like.
Yeah. Enter at your own risk.
Exactly.
I think. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm staying away from that because that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, let's take a quick break. I want to get to a short Titans segment, and we'll throw in World Series in there as well before we get to our picks. How about that? Stick around here. Main Street Sports Today. Presented by Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back after this.
So, I got a DUI. Mom, Dad.
Why didn't you just call someone for a ride?
I wasn't thinking ahead. I didn't think I was going to get caught. Yeah, my best friend Tim.
Still coming to my bachelor party next month?
This DUI cost me 10 grand, so no. Yeah, you, in the back.
Did you know I almost died when you hit me?
Didn't think this would affect so many people.
You think it was worth it?
No more questions.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mo, real quick before we get into the Titans, we talked about this a little bit. I have a rooting interest in the World Series because I'm rooting for David Baker. David Baker. Goodness gracious. I guess your hat threw me off with the NASCAR or something. Dusty Baker. And, I just don't like the Phillies. But, hey, sub-90 win NL East team seem to be the Houston Astros kryptonite.
I've not been able to work up a healthy dislike of the Phillies. Their fans are a little bothersome, but nothing like that blue and orange team up north. No. I don't necessarily have an issue with the Phillies, but I'd really, really, really like to see Dusty Baker get a World Series championship.
Absolutely. That's where I'm at. I'm all in on Dusty and wristbands and all, or sweatbands.
Sweatbands, toothpicks, batting gloves,
whatever it takes.
Dusty's looking like he's going to give himself an at bat at some point.
You better watch out. Here he comes.
Yeah, hand me my batting helmet.
Will Smith.
I got this. Yeah,
Will Smith made the roster.
Did he? Good for him.
One of the, I think maybe the only left-handed reliever in their pen.
Well, they said that there was times that they did not have a lefty in the pen. So I don't know if he got left off at some point during the postseason or what.
No, he wasn't on the NLCS or ALCS roster.
Maybe he decided they might need one against the Phillies.
Well, not only will they need one against the Phillies, but you've got a guy with World Series experience, who was perfect in the playoffs last year.
However he did it.
I mean, yeah, somehow, which seems to be the word of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, good for Will and hopefully, well, wouldn't that be something?
For Will Smith to win back-to-back World Series championships with two different teams.
Including the team he beat. And as crappy as, he feels like he has been treated. I mean, it's interesting.
There's a lot of, interesting little
side
stories and backstories and that kind of thing. I had forgotten about Will Smith until you said that, to be honest. I don't know how, but I'm kind of glad.
Yeah, you were trying to put that's a blackout memory.
Right. Well, the regular season was. Now, again, the postseason was – he was nailed.
Lights out.
Yeah. So hopefully Houston gets that Will Smith this time around as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I really, and there's an article, Bob Nightingale of USA Today did an article on him being the oldest manager ever to manage in a World Series, and he's never won one and that kind of thing. And I don't know. I'd like to think that Dusty Baker doesn't need to win this for validation from a career standpoint, but I think it would be a nice, top off the
it would certainly
resume.
Be a great cherry.
Oh yeah,
no question. There would be a great cherry, and he deserves it.
Yeah.
He deserves it, if nothing else, for the way Cincinnati treated him.
Well, Cincinnati, the Cubs.
Well, but Cincinnati went from, they went from pretty darn good to absolute trash when they fired him.
Yeah, they've not been good since he left.
I mean, when the one year that the Braves beat them in 2020 in that weird COVID playoff situation, but that's it. Like, that's the only time they made the playoffs since then.
Right.
And that was just because Trevor Bauer got them there. And
who?
Right. Speaking of guys you've forgotten about.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Cincinnati kind of they're reaping what they sowed there, and Dusty is also reaping what he has sowed over his career. So
yeah,
congrats to him, and hopefully this is the cherry for his career.
It would really be cool.
Yes, it would. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Titans because not a whole lot here that I want to get into, but Ryan Tannehill, does he play? Is he not going to play? If he does, do you feel like with the offensive line that the Tennessee Titans have that Malik Willis might be the better option?
That's a good question. I mean, clearly his mobility isn't compromised to the degree that Tannehill's is.
With the ankle.
I mean, again, I said, I don't know if I said it on here or if I said it at Nissan Stadium the other day, but I would think if you have to play a game with your backup quarterback as the Tennessee Titans, this might be the one that you'd want to play.
You said that either yesterday or the day before, but you're right. I mean, but that being said, the Texans have been competitive in just about every game they've played too. And so
I don't know that playing Malik Willis prohibits you from being competitive.
No, because your defense is what makes you competitive.
Yeah, I mean, already you're talking about an offense that accounted for four field goals in its last outing.
And you feel
with Tannehill.
And you feel pretty good about what you're going to get out of Derrick Henry against the Texans and their defense. So perhaps you just win this one Gene Stalling style. Run the ball, play good defense, win a ball game, go home.
Old style Titans. I mean, they've won games like this before in their history. I mean, it wouldn't be anything new.
Absolutely not. No, it wouldn't even be new for the Mike Vrabel era. I mean, we've seen that. So perhaps, give Tannehill a week to heal up. I don't know. What do you think, Justin? Do you think Willis should play? Or
I go back and forth with it pretty much throughout the day, every day. I see a lot of
just all day long, just sitting there thinking, "Gosh, should Malik Willis play?"
Exactly. I was scrolling on Twitter. Yeah, exactly. I was scrolling on Twitter and I saw that they're having conversations. Tannehill and Malik, like one-off conversations, and it looks like he's mentoring him. But he said he wouldn't do that, so it's like maybe I don't know. It's beautiful when they're talking and they're conversing and stuff. So I don't know what I want.
I don't know. I don't know what should happen, but yeah, I'm kind of with you, Mo. If you're going to play him in a game, this seems like one that you could get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game that, from the Titans standpoint, obviously this is a game that you want to win. It's an AFC South game. It would be 5 straight now if they won that one, or
yes, that's correct.
So, and you don't want to lose that momentum that you've got going, but it might be the best thing for Tannehill to just sit for a week.
He looks like kind of like a worried mother. Like he's like, I can still play. It's like you're limping. Just let Malik have it,
It was interesting. I'm looking for the article here now, and I'm not being able to find it. But a more sensible someone that the Titans should trade for than a running back. And I'm trying to find where I saw it so I could give proper credit. I think it was Pro Football Focus maybe, but I can't find the article. But it was proposed that the Titans might want to check in with the Patriots on offensive lineman Isaiah Wynn. And my initial reaction was the Titans may be a little gun shy about offensive linemen from Georgia named Isaiah.
Panda. Or is that was it?
But
No, yeah, we won't.
His name who shall not be mentioned, maybe. But
Yeah,
but I would think that offensive line is a spot that probably needs more attention for the Titans and running back for sure.
oh, no question.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Even if it is against the Texans, Malik Willis goes out there, offense looks great, they score 30 points, and then what?
Ooh, is that being discussed, do you think? I mean, do you look at it like that? Do you take that approach? What are we creating if?
Yeah, that's a question to be asked.
Quite perplexing.
Yeah.
Because there will be a large portion of the fan base who will be chanting, Malik Willis's name. And the first time Tannehill screws up,
should have played Malik.
It'll be over.
Yeah.
So anyway,
that's
Jerry Jones.
That makes sense.
Jerry Jones would love a old QB versus QV scuffle.
Yeah.
Him,
They would absolutely love for us to be trying to figure out what to do with our quarterback situation. So,
well, I meant with him and Dak, or him talking about Dak and Cooper.
Yeah, because it would take some heat off him for a minute. He would love that. Tony Barnhart just tweeted, significant news coming out of the Feinbaum show. Jimbo Fisher bailed on standard Friday production meeting with SEC Network talent. Coaches reschedule those meetings, but they don't cancel. So
somebody feeling some heat?
You would think. Man,
that's not a good look.
That's not a good look at all. Man, I just oh man, that just threw a wrench into my day. Like I know that it's you don't want to be dealing with that stuff, but you got to deal with that stuff. That's part of it.
Well, I mean, you're getting paid, and in Jimbo Fisher's case, you're getting paid very well to deal with that stuff. And until you're not, you keep dealing with it.
And oh man, that is a tough look for Jimbo Fisher. Hopefully, whatever the reason is good. Mm-hmm. I don't think it probably will be, but I hope that it is in his case.
Yeah, I mean, look at you taking the high road over there and giving benefits of doubt and that kind of thing.
I'm just hoping, because otherwise you can't be just skipping out on your duties, because then that gives people good reasons.
Well, again, you hear all these coaches preach accountability
all the time
until it's time.
Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll make our picks from week number 9. We missed last week, unfortunately, so we will.
It's probably just as well. One less chance for me to embarrass myself.
Yeah, there you go. We'll be right back on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Hey folks, while we take a quick break from the show, I want to tell you about our friends over at Custom Stone Handlers in downtown Columbia. Ed Rich and his team at Custom Stone Handlers believe in leadership. And outside of the military, our greatest leader building platform is sports.
Custom Stone Handlers proudly encourages young people to get in the game. You can contact them today at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50-plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, ZionEagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's ZionEagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic injuries, and our Ortho Quick walk-in service lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Tweet from friend of the show, Jeff Him. Former Nashville Sounds catcher Martin Maldonado and hitting coach Gary Pettis will be again part of the Astros World Series run. So there's more reasons to root for the Stros.
Gary Pettis, former. Yeah.
How about that?
How about that?
We'll take any of the extra help we can get on rooting for the Stros. Oh, well, let's get into it, folks. Last week, the system went 5-5. Dropped to 386th in the country from 100 and something, but still in the 99.5% percentile. So we'll take that.
So what you're saying is the system works.
The system, over a season, the system works. I didn't realize this. There are 48 prizes worth $85,500 that will be given out to winners of this.
48?
Yeah. So.
Okay. So there's a little incentive involved in.
Well, so they do weekly prizes of $250, but 3 grand prizes. So the top 3 finishers will get $20,000 each. 3 runners up will get $5,000 each. So the top 6 get a payout. So I'm hoping that maybe in the next few weeks I can make a bit of a comeback here and end up in that top 6 somewhere. But we start in the Big Ten, 11 a.m., and that is the big noon kickoff on Fox. Penn State at home against the number 2 Ohio State Buckeyes. Penn State is a 14.5 point underdog at home. Home dogs, Mo. You love them. Do you love to hate them this week?
14.5 at home.
Number 13 in the country. But you just got boat raced on the road.
And it's Ohio State. Now, the
who looked pedestrian early against Iowa, but certainly turned it on late.
And certainly there are those that would tell you Ohio State ain't played nobody, Paul.
Well, and who would be wrong? Of those, no one would be wrong.
No, they really wouldn't. So I am going to take Ohio State to cover 14.5.
All right. Justin, you there?
Yes, I'm going to also go Ohio State to cover.
I think it's a 14-point game. So I'm going Penn State.
Ooh.
Really?
Even though if it were a night game, I would feel much more confident about it. But even at noon, I think this one goes the way of the Nittany Lions, at least point spread wise.
So you think the hook is the difference? Huh?
I do.
Okay.
All right. Notre Dame in the Carrier Dome at Syracuse, number 16 in the country, coming off that very close loss to Clemson last week on the road. Notre Dame is the underdog here, but it's only 2.5 points. So Syracuse, 2.5 at home, which means odds makers think that Notre Dame is the better team by a half point.
I think Syracuse covers 2.5. I think Syracuse wins by a touchdown at least.
I don't think Syracuse can close. I'm not hopping on the bandwagon. I'm going to go Notre Dame.
I'm going to go with the Orange too. I think they proved to me last week that they're good enough.
Well, that and I'm not sure how good Notre Dame is.
I just don't know.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is that I feel like they could potentially be okay, but they're not. They've certainly worked out some kinks, but they're not back to this level. I don't think. That game also on ABC at 11 o'clock. At 1 o'clock on ESPN 3.
3.
That's right. 3. Okay. Game day.
Oh.
Southern at Jackson State. Jackson State a 9.5 point favorite. Jackson State 7-0 on the year. Southern 5-2 again at Jackson State. Probably going to be 50K plus there.
What's the number again?
9.5. This is
at home.
At home.
Prime time, in prime time, even though it's ESPN 3, you got to go look for it.
And it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think this is at least a 10-point win for Jackson State. I'm taking J State.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're good. I had been going with you, but I'm with you, Jackson State.
I was going to echo that sentiment.
All the way across the board, which means definitely Southern.
Right. The system is rubbing their hands together.
Yeah, the system is, behind the tree.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. At 2:30 on CBS, Florida, Georgia, in Jacksonville, the Dogs, 21.5.
Ooh. 21.5.
That's a lot of points.
That is a lot of points, but I just don't think I've seen anything out of Florida that makes me think that they can cover it.
Yeah.
I'm taking Georgia.
I'm with you. I got the Bulldogs as well.
I don't know. SEC. A lot of the games come down to the last possession. I'm gonna go Florida to get inside 21.5.
Okay.
All right. 2:30 on Fox. Number 9, Oklahoma State at number 22, Kansas State. Oklahoma State, 1.5 point favorites.
Ooh, a dogfight.
I feel like maybe the bloom is a little off Kansas State.
It is.
I feel like Oklahoma State has been consistently good over the course of this season to this point. I'm going with the Cowboys.
I too. I believe I am going to go. I'm not sure if they're number 9 good, but they always play teams close and they're scrappy. So, and I agree with the K-State them being overhyped right now. So,
see, maybe, but here's the thing: the Big 12 has this weird thing about random losses on the road. I mean, Oklahoma losing to Iowa State all those years, just random times you find yourself losing to a team you have no business losing to. And I think this is it for Oklahoma State. I got Kansas State in this one.
Now you're thinking like the system. I like it.
That's a sound.
It's just a weird
basis.
This just seems like one of those
up
weeks.
Out of nowhere where you look at it and you go, what the heck?
Yeah.
Right.
I believe
that does look like one of those.
Yeah.
A 22 being a 9.
So. Number 20, Cincinnati, 6-1. Their only blemish, that opening week loss to Arkansas. Go figure. Taking on, well, Mr. Waffle House himself, the Fighting Gus Malzahns of Central Florida. Central Florida.
Is this in Orlando?
1.5 point home dogs. So
Cincinnati at UCF.
Cincinnati at UCF.
And the Knights are home dogs?
ESPN, 2:30. Knights are 1.5-point home dog. Yeah.
You know, I don't know how good Cincinnati is. Like you said, their only losses to Arkansas.
These are some close spreads.
Arkansas isn't great. Yeah, they are. But I think Cincinnati covers. I think Cincinnati wins, basically.
The line, now remember, the line that we get is the line from Monday.
Mm-hmm.
The line has since moved to Cincinnati being a 1 point. I'm sorry, UCF being a 1 point favorite.
Oh, so basically it's moved 2.5
2.5 points toward UCF, which means all the money's going to
Cincinnati. It's okay. I'm going with Cincinnati. What?
I'm gonna go. Hold on. You hear me?
Hey,
go ahead.
Talk to me.
We can hear you the whole
Hey,
time.
there we go. My fault. Okay, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna use your same logic, Chris, on the Oklahoma State K-State for this one. I think UCF, which it seems like everybody's going with Cincinnati, so it's kind of a win-win. You know, got the underdogs since we're going with the Monday line. I'm gonna go UCF for sure.
I too am going UCF. Of course, this feels like the kind of game that Gus Malzahn would lose to. So,
but I mean, if Cincinnati wins 27-26, then you guys win.
That's right.
Yeah. So,
Missouri at South Carolina. Missouri 4.5 point dogs. South Carolina 4.5 point favorites at home against the Tigers.
South Carolina's 4.5 point favorite. I got South Carolina.
You said that so quickly and so confidently, sir.
Well,
it kind of threw me off.
Missouri beat Vanderbilt by 3 last week, right?
I'm in Missouri.
Yeah.
Missouri's bad.
Yeah, exactly. And South Carolina is what, 24th? What are they rank?
25.
Okay. Yeah, I got South Carolina, especially at home.
3 o'clock SEC Network if you want to catch it. ESPN 6 o'clock kick.
Hold up.
Oh, sorry.
Who you got?
Oh, South Carolina. Sorry.
Okay.
I was with you guys. I just forgot to say.
Justin?
I'm also going to do SEC. Well, they both are, but
USC, right? 6 o'clock ESPN, Kentucky at Tennessee. Tennessee 11.5 point favorites.
I love that line.
I hate this line.
Really?
Because I want to take Kentucky on it so bad.
You don't think Tennessee's going to win this game by at least 2 touchdowns?
I don't.
If they get one,
I told you off air. I feel as nervous about this game as I did about LSU. Now, again, I know.
And you see how LSU went.
I know Tennessee took care of LSU, but they had a lot of things go their way, like the opening kickoff with the muff and everything went their way. I get that. Kentucky's better than LSU.
I'm pretty sure Vols, though, get 7 points just for walking in the building with all that drip that they're going to have.
Hello. That drip is going to be dripping, too. Goodness. Yeah, and when they walk out with that drip, you don't think that Neyland Stadium crowd is going to go nuts?
Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be so much juice
most of it
in that building. Well,
those
will be drowned out.
Well, they also will be probably up in the
where
press
you can't
box
hear them
area
anyway.
where you can't hear them anyway. So
UT wins this game by at least 2 touchdowns. Book it.
I'm agreeing.
Oh,
agree. Me and Mo pulling off our shirts this week. I'm going same thing.
Oh man, I just I hate this line. I hate this line. I'm going to go Tennessee, but I don't feel good about it.
Just want to be on record.
There you go.
Michigan State at Michigan. Michigan getting 21.5 points at home.
I think there should just be money lines for like high rivalry games.
You said 21.
21 and a half.
And a half.
So there's a hook on
There's
there.
always a hook. You know,
Yeah,
every one of these.
Yeah, they all have hooks, as well it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, but 21 and a half is after what they did to Penn State last week. I have no doubts it's Michigan.
Yeah, and Michigan State is not good.
Nope. No, they're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. We've got one game left, and I have.
Justin, Michigan, we assume?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a statistic to throw at you. Did you know? This is not a stat of the day. Did you know that there are currently 6 bowl-eligible teams in the Pac-12?
There are 6 teams that already have 6 wins in the Pac-12? No, I did not know.
That is insane.
I did not know. Well, it's insane that I didn't know.
Well, we're in week 9. I would have never thought 6 of those teams have 6 wins.
Well, I mean, it only takes, 6-2 or 6-3? I mean, who you got? You got USC, you got UCLA, you got Utah.
Washington, Oregon, and that may be it. That may be 6.
That's 5.
Maybe Oregon State. Well, either way, yeah, we can look up the Pac-12 standings pretty quick.
We can do that.
As a matter of fact.
Technology is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, right now, overall, Oregon, USC, Utah, UCLA, Oregon State, and Washington.
Oregon State.
And Washington State could certainly be there by the end of the month or in the next couple of weeks, because they've got their toughest part of their schedule was early. They've got Stanford next week and Arizona State the week after that. Then they got Arizona, and then they finish with Washington. So they ought to have 7 wins going into that Washington game. But yeah, so Stanford 3-4 at UCLA, coming off their first loss of the year. Number 12 Bruins, 16.5-point favorites. This is on ESPN at 9:30, Pac-12 After Dark, if that makes your decision any more difficult.
I think Stanford has already used its magic.
But it's dark time.
I've got UCLA in this one.
I'm gonna also go UCLA in this one to cover.
Stanford lost to USC by 13. They lost to Washington on the road by 18. Oregon beat them pretty good. Oregon State by 1. They beat Notre Dame by 2. They beat Arizona State by 1. They've been pretty competitive in almost every game. That being said, and I still don't know how good UCLA is.
Good enough to be number 12 in the country, whatever that means.
Yeah, well, are they though? I mean, I guess I'm still putting too much weight on that South Alabama debacle. But I don't know. I'm gonna go Stanford here. They lose by less than touchdown to field goal, 2 touchdowns to field goal. So I'm going Stanford, but I don't love it either. Mm-hmm. There you have it. Those are our picks. That's it for this week. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. If you follow us, MS_sports today, I will do my best to keep up with Twitter tonight and retweet my tweets, your tweets, and everyone else's tweets from around high school football, college football tomorrow, Titans on Sunday. We'll be back at 2:00 with Reaction Monday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Justin back in the studio. Thank you so much. I'm Chris Yao. Mo?
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.